Hey, Tommy.
Hey, Amanda.
There's been a murder.
Oh, Jesus. We should call a world-class detective.
You mean Detective Benoit Blanc?
Oh, he's married to Hugh Grant, right?
Yes, he's married to Hugh Grant.
And he spends all his day in the bathtub.
He sure does, reading Kane's Jawbone.
Well, it sounds like you're talking about Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery.
I sure am, and that's what we're talking about this week on...
Can we talk about?
When's the murder mystery start?
My man, patience. Okay, look. I know you guys think I'm a hippie, but can we just take a second and fully abbreviate this moment together? I mean, we're old friends. We're still friends. And I love you all. I just wanted to say that. But we got a great weekend. Just our gang. Just us.
Hey!
Hey, bro.
Not here.
Who's that? That's Daryl. He's just staying here. He's going through some things, but he's not part of the experience at all.
Can we talk about A Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery?
Ooh, mysterious. Yes, absolutely. It came out over the holidays, so I feel like a lot of people, including myself, watched it over the holiday break. Is that
That is
too,
what
or?
I did, yeah. So we watched it. I know we joked at our last episode that COVID cannot hit us, but we weren't prepared for the flu, and it took us down. So we are recovering from that, and we just watched it, and it was awesome. I love these types of things. I'm an Agatha Christie nerd, which is what this is kind of based off of, and with the cast that this had, I mean, you can't go wrong.
We are less than 60 seconds in, and you're already dropping facts. It's based off an Agatha Christie story?
Yeah. So is Knives Out, which is the movie previous to this, both directed by Rian Johnson, who, if you don't know, that this is, these are his little fun things. And if you've watched both, the only character that is reoccurring in the second, in A Glass Onion, is Detective Benoit Blanc, which is played by Daniel Craig. Everything else is a brand new cast, but these are based on Agatha Christie classic story structures.
That's crazy. Which, by the way, I mean, funny enough, and the episode is coming, but we were talking about doing White Lotus, which I got into. Same sort of concept, right?
Yes,
where like there's
very
one
similar.
single character that recurs from like one to the other. That's a whole different story, which again, I can save that for then. But I didn't realize it was I was giving Rian Johnson all the credit for this story.
Yeah, so I mean they're based on like the story structure, the way that it's made. Like, the structure of the story is the detective and the way that all the clues and everything come together. And what I love about this movie, and I was so excited about, is with Knives Out, there were so many Easter eggs the first time we watched it. I did not know that they were basically telling you who the killer was the entire time.
Really?
And it's the same in this one. And so we were so excited to watch this one because we were like, oh, I can't wait to find the Easter eggs. And the first one, and I think he was the first one to say it publicly, Rian Johnson had said in Knives Out, you can always tell who the bad guy is in murder mysteries because they will never have an iPhone. They cannot have an iPhone if they are the bad guy or a villain in a movie or a TV show. That is one of Apple's stipulations.
Yeah.
So you can always know who them deep, dark, scary people are with their Samsungs in the background.
Yeah, that guy's holding a Pixel. He done it. He done
it. So Rian Johnson had said that in the first one, like if you had watched it, you would be able to tell, like Jamie Lee Curtis in the first one is like visibly holding an iPhone.
Yeah.
And when I found all these little things and watched back, you're like, oh shit, it's true. So this one was funny too, because even in A Glass Onion, the main character, who we find out is loosely based on Elon Musk. And I think that is so funny that Elon Musk was pissed. He's like, is this about me? And the cast was like, if the shoe fits, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. And Dave Bautista in this movie plays like a pro men's right activist. And everyone's like, is this supposed to be Andrew Tate? And he's like, if you think so, maybe, I don't know.
I do love, I mean, the movie was made, I'm trying to figure out when it actually was, do you know when it was, like when they went into filming? Like,
so I had listened to a podcast episode about this, and it was I believe they were filming in 2021 or like 2020, 2021-ish, because they all essentially had to quarantine together. They were still in like that COVID bubble.
Because the reason I ask is because given who the characters are sort of based on, it sort of landed. It's like someone doing a somersault at the Olympics and like perfectly landing the dismount, right? At the release, Andrew Tate, Elon Musk, like literally the
Couldn't
most.
have planned this better.
Yeah.
Could not have planned this better. So Edward Norton was on another podcast. I want to say it was the Dax Shepard podcast or another one. And he was talking about this, and because he plays the main character in this one, Miles Braun, who is a billionaire and is honestly pretty fucking dumb. And that's like what's so funny about this movie is like you find out he's really stupid. And at the end of the movie, when the detective, essentially Benoit Blanc, played by Daniel Craig, comes back around and is like, and this is how I know you did it, and does all of his little lines. He like makes up words the whole time that are like are not words. And going back to that iPhone thing, when Benoit Blanc asks if there's going to be a prize for solving his murder mystery, which we'll talk about what the movie's supposed to be, he says, "Do we get an iPad?" He's like, "Sure. Yeah, sure. You can have an iPad." And so the whole thing is like, you don't actually see you don't see Edward Norton use the iPad because he can't. Yeah. Because he's a villain. Yeah. Because he's a villain. So he can't use the Apple product. But yeah, to me, this is, like you said, it landed exactly when it needed to land. For
context, this was on Netflix, right? Netflix bought the rights to two sequels.
Yes.
Also at the table originally was Amazon and Apple, who were trying to acquire the rights to the sequels. Do you think it would have been different if it was on? I feel like it would have fit at Apple. To your point, I know we're talking about Apple products a lot, but
yes,
I feel like it actually would have fit on Apple aesthetically.
I agree. The only thing I think Apple's really having a problem with is just not accessible to everybody. Like we have a newer massive TV. It's like, 70 something inches TV.
Yeah.
Newer in the past couple of years. We couldn't get the Apple app on
Apple
there,
TV.
It was a Samsung TV, and we had to get a Roku stick, which I'm sure everybody has some sort of Fire Stick or something like that. But it wasn't as accessible. And I wonder if because Knives Out, I probably am wrong, but I don't think it did as well in the theater as it did when it hit streaming. Like, I feel like when it hit streaming, everybody was like, oh shit. Like, I didn't even know about it, which shocks me because, anything that Mr. Chris is in, I'm watching, but I'm not sure. I feel like it could have done well on Apple. You're right. But Netflix
just
made
kind of
it
had
really
that aesthetic
accessible
to it, like that very polished over aesthetic. But you mentioned, I want to go through all the different characters anyway.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig. Well, let's we'll go right down the list. Maybe that's a good way to start it. But like, I gotta say, I get it. I get the character, but that Southern drawl, I understand it. I know what they're going for. It's kind of grating to me. I don't know if it's just Daniel Craig doing a Southern American drawl accent. That's the part that's bothering me, but I don't know what it is, but it's like nails on a chalkboard. Like, it doesn't seem...
He chose that accent. That was not written for him. He chose that. And I read an interview with him, and I don't remember exactly like why he landed on that, but I know that this is the first movie franchise he's done after he retired from Bond movies. Yeah. So maybe he wanted to like seriously differentiate himself from like that character because he was Bond for, what was it, 10, 15 years, whatever the hell it was. He was Bond for a very long time.
Yeah.
And this is like, you could not be less Bond. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's quirky and weird and not suave and smooth. And there's maybe some off kilter pattern to that accent because it does throw you for a loop. It doesn't fit in either scenario. Like the first movie, Knives Out's not filmed in the Deep South. This movie's not filmed in the Deep South. It's set in Greece, So I think that maybe that was the point, is to like, he is so separate from the worlds that he's working in. Like, he's not one of them. He's not like the beat cop from Boston that's coming in the first movie, or,
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. I mean, it was really funny. I was going through some of the history of some of like the other like famous cinematic detectives, and the other one I came across, and that franchise sort of fell apart at the seams, but seemed like it was going somewhere. It was the Alex Cross series.
Okay, I did not watch them. Yeah.
So that was Kiss the Girls with Morgan Freeman and Ashley Judd. And then Along Came a Spider was the sequel there.
I did watch that one, though. I don't know why I didn't watch it. I probably did watch Kiss the Girls, but that was like late 90s, early 2000s-ish.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Kiss the Girls was 97. Along Came a Spider was 2001. These are like those neo-noir, like detective movies. But Alex Cross, and then the last one was literally called Alex Cross, and that was played by Tyler Perry. So it wasn't Tyler Perry's Alex Cross. It was just Tyler Perry took over for Morgan Freeman on that role. And again, it was like more of like handing off like a book series detective, like neo-noir kind of thing. I do appreciate what Rian Johnson's been trying to do here. And I have opinions on Rian Johnson, which I can get into at a point. But yeah, I mean, because it seems like where they took this was just trying to develop a character or like a series of movies, which I guess that's the point now, right? Is around Daniel Craig's character,
yes.
the Benoit Blanc series.
I am a nerd for a good mystery.
Yeah.
Like I was very excited. Like I said, the first time we watched Knives Out, to realize that there was so much more if you're watching it, to do like deep digging and stuff. And so I was excited for this one, but there are points in this movie and with Knives Out where you're like, really?
Yeah.
like a touch too corny. It's going to touch too corny.
Yeah.
But that's also, if you're a book nerd like I am,
yeah,
those books were corny. Like they were, the detective, there was always a touch of like ridiculousness to what these detectives were doing. And Agatha Christie's a little bit more dark, but yeah, there was always, like Nancy Drew, the Hardy Boys, those kinds of things. Like there was always a touch of corniness to them.
Yeah.
But this was, for me, I think I liked Knives Out a lot better than this one.
Yeah.
Not that I disliked this one, but I just liked, speaking of aesthetic, I liked the aesthetic of Knives Out. It was like really dark and like set in their home. And it was just like, it felt really dark. This one is more satirical, more hilarious. Like I laughed more during this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say that too, is, and I had to double check this. Glass Onion is actually 9 minutes longer than Knives Out. It did not feel that way.
No, I thought it was so short.
Yeah, no, me too. I mean, that was the thing too, is it gets to the point when, Benoit Blanc starts just firing off, here's what happened. And like, for the first mystery, the second mystery, right? It just seems like they're like rapid firing. It felt quick. Like by the time you get to the point when Duke Cody, Dave Bautista's character, when he dies, right? I feel like that's like the movie's almost like wrapping up at that point. And then it does go back into, and maybe that's part of it too, right? I think it's a combination of one, the movie is set at one location predominantly, right? Like once they get to the island, they're on the island for the rest of the movie. So it doesn't really go anywhere except for like when it does the little flashbacks and things, which even then it's limited to Benoit Blanc's apartment when she's sort of laying out the story as to like, who potentially killed her sister and why she wants them to investigate.
Yeah.
And then the beginning of the movie when like everyone has like their own like little, where they are in life, setting up the tone of the movie. But we're, Knives Out, the story leaves the mansion, it leaves their house and goes out into the world a little bit more. And so it just seems longer. And on top of that too, I think this movie is a little bit more, it's more comedy than it is anything else too. Like Knives Out felt like a mystery. It felt like a thriller mystery with like a nice payoff at the end of it. Whereas this one was like, oh, that was fun. That was like a fun ride.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly how I felt. It was fun. And one thing I loved about Knives Out that kind of came back with this is there's always something about the character that like tells you about their personality when you first meet them as characters.
Yeah.
And Rian Johnson did that with the masks, the types of masks that they're wearing and how they're wearing them when they all show up on the dock and they're going to go to the island.
Yeah.
It just like shows you what types of people they are. Like Benoit Blanc is wearing like a perfectly fit over his nose, over the ears, like cloth mask. And then Kate Hudson, who plays another character, she shows up and like it's not a mask at all. It's just like a fashion piece. It's like chainmail. It's like wide open. Dave Bautista, no mask. And this is supposed to be set in May, right? Of 2020, like in the heart of COVID.
Yeah.
And I love that part too, because we're talking about the cast. Ethan Hawke is like the best cameo. Ethan Hawke and Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant and Ethan Hawke, best cameos.
Yeah. Also, I got a fun fact for you. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Do you know about this one?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, I'm
in both movies. Yeah. Go ahead.
I feel like I'm stealing your thunder because you're the fun facts person. All right. So Joseph Gordon-Levitt has been in every Rian Johnson movie, right? He has made a cameo or some appearance in every Rian Johnson movie. In this movie, he is the dong, the hourly dong when they get to the dong, like just that sound. That's Joseph Gordon-Levitt saying dong.
Yeah.
That's it.
And in the first one, in Knives Out, he's the broadcaster when Marta's sister is watching like the TV show or watching the news. He's the voice of the newscaster.
Yeah.
Which I love that. Yeah. I think that's such a fun fact. I love that one.
For those who don't know, the connection there is that Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in one of Rian Johnson's his first movie ever, which was Brick.
Yeah.
Which was in itself a mystery thriller. Did you ever see Brick?
No, I don't think I have.
Yeah.
Is it good?
It's
worth it?
It is. It's a good movie.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's why Rian Johnson has work today.
It's completely fair.
It was Brick. And then he also did Looper. So yeah, he's been all over the place. But that's the Joseph Gordon-Levitt link, if you will, to his career.
Back to the cast, because you were saying the cast. You want to finish that one up?
Yeah. So all right. So we talked about Edward Norton, right? Janelle Monáe, who I didn't realize that was Janelle Monáe, did not realize that was her at all. Who kind of plays two different roles, sort of. And again, that's where it was like Daniel Craig's got his Southern drawl accent, and then Janelle Monáe, the sister of what was the character. So I don't even know how to explain that. She's an Alabama school teacher, with also a Southern accent, so
but a different Southern accent.
A different,
it's like
Southern
a completely
accent,
different dialect. Yeah.
But she was great. I liked her character. Something's up, and even in the beginning, with the way everything's revealed about how they each of them gets that what are those called? Those mystery boxes. Yeah, like you have to open it up, and then she just takes a hammer to it. We have no context or anything, and she's clearly she's not on the phone with the rest of them. They're all calling each other. So yeah, I mean, and I do like how the backstory is unwound a little bit, although I feel like you still don't understand a lot of the context, and maybe I missed it. So actually, this is more of a question to you. If you can either set me straight or acknowledge maybe there are some kind of like holes in the story or whatever. Edward Norton's character becomes rich off this idea that they wrote on a napkin when they were all hanging out and being friends at the bar or whatever, was written on a napkin, right? Janelle Monáe's character, which is that Helen? Is that the right? Is it Helen or Andy? I always forget which is it's
Andy is the dead one.
Okay, so Andy. So right. So Andy writes this on a napkin with them, and they come up with this idea for whatever their social network is or whatever. But I never understand what they're bringing to the table. I never understand what their actual roles, or her role versus Edward Norton's role in them developing this company that turned him into a millionaire anyway. That's where I'm kind of confused.
So I guess it was her idea on the napkin. She created the idea.
Okay.
And that's the whole point, is when they end up going to a court trial because he writes her out of the business.
Right.
When he starts to do sketchy shit and she wants to take her half of the business and go her separate ways. And he just kind of writes her out, saying that these were all his ideas, and he copies what was on the napkin onto another napkin, but her napkin has the actual Glass Onion brand on it from the bar that they were at. So essentially, I believe it's her ideas, and he was the charisma behind the ideas and the face of the company, but he's a fucking idiot. So
okay. Yeah, and I got that part. I just more
the whole
or less,
disruptors thing, though.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah,
What does that mean?
It did feel like maybe there was some additional context that wasn't thrown in there or missed or got cut out or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
It just asks you to accept, like, hey, just really quick, like, they're friends, they came up with this idea and they made a multi-billion-dollar company. All right, yeah, continue now. Like they sort of glaze over it a little bit where you don't understand. Because I think, and the reason I'm harping on it is, I think if you had more context, if you had more understanding about what Andy's character brought to the table versus Edward Norton's character in developing this company and them all working together, I think it would carry more weight into what was stolen from her. Not just they created a successful company, he cut her out, and now she's, got
agreed.
robbed of it.
Yeah, there was like a lack of emotional connection to like being on her side. Like you were on her side.
Yeah.
Because Edward Norton was a turd bomber, but like you also like there should have been more emotion there.
Yeah.
I will say though, Catherine Hahn. I mean,
Catherine.
come on, she was so good as this like politician who's just like corrupt as fuck. Like I loved her.
Let me tell you something about Catherine Hahn though. She has been around for years and
Yeah. Oh,
years.
yeah.
I am more than happy to see her. You know, we talk about the Renaissance. This is the Renaissance.
The Renaissance. I love
the
it.
Renaissance. She is all over the place. I mean, she was always like this kind of character in the background in a lot of different movies and TV shows.
She was always the
and things over
friend.
years.
Like
Yeah.
literally the friend in every comedy.
Yeah.
The
And
tiny part.
was it officially WandaVision that broke her through? Like, was that the one that took her from being like the side character to being like, oh, you're a main character
I
now?
don't
Because I feel like
know.
this is the first time you've seen her in like more of a major role. I mean, you compare it, right? It's her standing next to Kate Hudson
Yeah.
and Leslie Odom Jr. Like she's main cast. Whereas I think with a lot of other stuff she's been in, and I'm happy for her. I like really am. And she's hilarious.
Like, for me, I'm not saying that you've seen them, but like she was great in Bad Moms. Like she
Yes.
was really good in that little franchise, but again, not super. She wasn't really prevalent, but she's apparently in another show that's not out yet, that's coming out with a bunch of names, and I don't remember what it was. I heard it.
Well, is it the spinoff from WandaVision?
Nope, it's with a bunch of other ladies, famous actresses. But when I first like really loved her is when she was in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, which oddly enough, she's in with Kate Hudson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to bring it back, she has a starring role. They're doing a spinoff called Agatha Coven of Chaos, which is another Marvel thing.
Uh-huh.
Which spun off from WandaVision, which I did think WandaVision was great. I loved WandaVision.
She's also incredible in Step Brothers. Like so fucking funny. Like she's one of the best characters in that movie.
She tends to play a lot of horny women. Now that I think about it, because she was in.
Good for you, girl. Get yours, Catherine. I mean, she was in I Love Dick in 2016 to 2017, so it makes sense.
Well, there you go. She was great. Yeah, Leslie Odom Jr. great. Kate Hudson was great. I want to pause on Kate Hudson for a second. I feel like she hasn't really been in a lot lately. Am I crazy?
No, but I feel like recently she's come back into acting because I think she was doing more of her, what's the stretchy pants company? Come on. Fabletics. Isn't that Kate Hudson's company?
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know about this. I didn't know about this. She owns a athletics company?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
She's the, well, now I feel stupid if this is wrong, but
No, I'm reading it right now. You absolutely are correct. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna feel
I
real
didn't know about
fucking dumb.
this.
Yes,
Yeah.
she makes stretchy pants. My sister wears them. She loves them.
Wow. Yeah. Maybe I'll buy a pair for myself.
They're
make
like
them
they had subscriptions, so it was like you paid a subscription, and every month you got stretchy pants. Fabletics, if you'd like to sponsor, can we talk about podcasts? Tom will wear stretchy pants.
Yeah. Because I feel like she hasn't really been around that much. I think from what I was looking up, she really hasn't been in a lot in the last couple of years. So it was just nice to see her pop up.
Yes.
And,
agreed. I love her.
You know,
she's so funny. She's great in a comedic role.
Yeah, but I mean, she did a lot of romantic comedies back at like the
oh my god, yeah, seen them all.
Late aughts, yeah.
So
to
as
see
has
her,
your wife, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, her and her brother have a podcast that's apparently doing very well.
Really?
Oliver Hudson, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about this.
Yeah, it's called.
Wait, that's her brother?
This is the first thing that has to do with movies that I knew and you didn't.
Oh man!
Oh, I'm so excited.
So wait,
sibling. Wow. Okay, did I have a fucking stroke? Sibling Revelry.
Wow.
With Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson. Yeah, that's her brother.
So I immediately knew his face. He was on that random sitcom that was sort of on TV for several years and no one noticed. Rules of Engagement. There was that show with Patrick Warburton and David Spade. He was on that. He was like the comedic person. Comedic. I mean, I guess it was a sitcom. They're all the comedic. But he kind of played
with
like
David Spade, right?
Yeah, he kind of played like a dullard idiot guy. You know, like just the stupid husbands. You know, for like the regular sitcom. But he's also been in a bunch of other things too, which I'm really explaining really well. He was in Nashville.
I loved that show. I'm not even embarrassed. I really loved that show. Give me some Hayden. I loved it.
Great.
Christmas Chronicles, lovely movies. Really enjoyed them.
Is that just? Well, that's a family
with his
affair,
parents. Yeah, with
his
parents. Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah. So to bring it back, yeah, it was nice to see Kate Hudson pop up, and I will say, despite the character he's playing, that's the thing. Obviously, Dave Bautista, former wrestler, right? So was The Rock. So was John Cena, right? I think the three of them are three dudes who came out of wrestling to like, you know, kick up acting careers. But if you see the difference between them, right? The Rock is just putting out just rinse and repeat different scripts, and it's just The Rock playing The Rock in every movie, right? He doesn't exactly have a lot of range. I think early in his career, he tried different things. He tried doing
I love that you're saying this.
Why?
Because my partner is the biggest Rock fan. And when we were done, like, I want you to keep going. It did not mean to interrupt, but he, at the end of this, he's like, I have a feeling that people are going to say that he's a way better actor than The Rock. I'm like, no fucking shit. It's not that hard.
No, it's a very low bar.
He loves The Rock. Loves him. So please continue, because I can't wait till he listens to this.
Yeah. I mean, all right. So I'll just throw out, I'm looking at, all right. So think of his character from San Andreas to Central Intelligence, right?
To the Tooth Fairy.
To the Tooth Fairy. It's the same guy. It's the same character.
Yeah.
It's like the line from I Think You Should Leave. Like, I know it's the same actor. I don't know if the same character. Like, I don't know if they're supposed to be the same person. He plays the same person in everything. He has no. It's, you know, Black Adam, which came out at the end of the year. A lot of people were giving that crap because they're like, yeah, it's just The Rock in a superhero movie. That's it. That's the difference. Now, compare that to John Cena, right? Who I think has benefited from being in a few different movies and TV shows that have had good scripts. He went more comedic route, right?
Yes.
He was in what was Cock Blockers. Now they changed the name to Blockers, right? He was in what other comedies was he in? He was in
that movie with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler where they're sisters and they throw the party and he's the drug dealer.
Yes. Yeah.
He's so funny in that role.
He was in Trainwreck. He's been in a bunch of other movies and TV shows. And then he did the Suicide Squad and the Peacemaker with in that DC side universe, whatever you want to call it. Again, playing a more comedic role. He's kind of playing it up. Like, and I appreciate that, right? He also did back in the early 2000s. He did the Marine. He did more of a serious role, something you would see The Rock in today, like that. You could just swap him out for The Rock. Same exact movie. I'm glad he got away from that. I'm glad he did something different. Right? Credit where credit's due. Now you get over to Dave Bautista, who apparently has a real appreciation for acting and wants to be a great actor. He doesn't want to just be The Rock, right? Which I'll give him credit for. He's said somewhere, vaguely quoting here, that he wants to do more serious roles. He wants to do, he wants to be cast in a light that's not just, oh, he's this guy, the wrestler guy, you know, big arms and that's it. So I give him a lot of credit for that, right? I think he's really great. I think he's a great actor. I think he's a great human for the stuff that's like
everyone
come out
says
about
that he's
him.
like the biggest teddy bear on that same podcast episode I was listening to. They were like, they said it was basically summer camp, and every single night they'd go to someone else's room and play board games and hang out and drink all night. And Dave Bautista was like the mama bear, tucking people into bed and like taking care of them and like making sure everyone on set felt safe and like listened to and heard. And like, he's the mama bear. He's just a big, sweet teddy bear. And
that's the thing too, is like, you know, on the set of Guardians of the Galaxy, when you know, he didn't have he didn't put himself in a position to have a filter, right? He just said what he felt, was very protective of people around him. Me and you have talked a little bit, or we haven't really talked about it.
We're anti not fat Pratt. Okay, guys.
Yes. Make Chris Pratt fat again. I'll give him credit, right? He's never come out in defense of Chris Pratt, which I like about him too. He's been very silent about that. Protective of everybody else around him, you know, leaves that one alone. Fair enough. It's the last movie that comes out at the end of the middle of this year.
I do love those movies. Truly do.
He was also in Army of the Dead. That was the Zack Snyder movie that came out last year too. So he's been in a bunch of different stuff, but he's expressed interest in wanting to do more variety of roles.
That's hard though, because this one is kind of like literally his description is right-wing men's rights advocate named Duke Cody.
Like, so he's a streamer.
He's a streamer on Twitch.
but here's the thing, and the only sort of downside is, right, he's playing a character that's like a pseudo, like, to your point, a combination of like a few different people, including Andrew Tate, but he's still fucking likable, right?
So likable.
It's Dave Bautista.
I wasn't even mad at him. And his mom, what's the actress that plays his mom?
Oh, I forgot.
She's so good. Like, she's so funny. And like, he's got
Jackie
this box.
Hoffman.
Okay, yeah. So he's got this special box puzzle that shows up from Ethan Hawke, sends it to all his friends, and they do this like reunion every year. That's the whole premise of the movie. And they're going to go to his Grecian island to solve a murder mystery where he's the person that's murdered.
Yeah.
And what's even more hilarious is Ethan Hawke's not Ethan Hawke's character, just kidding. Edward Norton's character says in the movie, he's super pissed because the murder gets solved in like 5 seconds by Daniel Craig. And he's like, I hired Gillian Flynn to write this for me. And she's the author of Gone Girl. And she's just like, what she said when she heard it, she was like, holy shit, you said my name. I'm in the movie. I made it. But the whole like backstory, and they get these puzzle boxes, and then Dave Bautista's mom is like, just like not even paying attention. He's like, what could this mean? And she's like, turn it to the right. It's a compass. Like she's like insanely intelligent. She's got this stupid son who's like, it's like the Will Ferrell character. And he's like, Ma, the meatloaf. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he's like. You think he's like some like rough and tumble guy, but then his mom starts yelling at him while he's streaming on Twitch because he still lives in his mom's house. It's so good.
Well, that's the thing too. Is like the movie starts off and you're trying to pick up on who these people are and what they're about, right? And I will give the movie credit. The way it opens up sort of very easily helps you paint the picture of who these people are, right?
Yes.
Helps you figure it out, sets it aside, right? Kate Hudson's character constantly saying shit she shouldn't be saying, politically incorrect.
Yeah, she keeps getting in trouble for all the shit she says on Twitter. She gets her phone taken away.
Right. We get that immediately. Honestly, the only problem I have is I think David Bautista is too likable that you don't pick up on what an asshole he's supposed to be.
I think you're right. And it's the same with Catherine Hahn, though, because like you're supposed to hate her because she's some, backstabbing, shitty politician in the middle of a campaign cycle. And then someone we haven't really talked about, Leslie Odom Jr. plays Lionel Toussaint, a scientist with very questionable morals. Yeah. Who just like seems like he's the yes man who they're like, you're going to let him do this? Like, it could kill millions of people. And they're like, what can I say? He's erratic, big deal. Let him try. Big deal.
Yeah.
And speaking of how it opens, Daniel Craig's character, you find out, is gay because his husband in the opening credits is Hugh Grant, who's like baking in their apartment. And we've talked about this before, I'm a very big book nerd.
Yeah.
And in the scene where Benoit Blanc, like this is set in COVID, is losing his mind because he's so bored and he can't work because of the shutdown. He's in his bathtub and apparently he spends like 12 hours a day just taking baths. And his husband, Hugh Grant, is like trying to get him because a box showed up and he's like, you have to come. There's something here for you. And he's reading on the ground is Cain's Jawbone is the book on the ground. Do you know about Cain's Jawbone?
No.
Which is so hilarious because I was in the city this week and look what I bought without even having watched the movie. I was like, I have to bring that to show Tom. So I bought Cain's Jawbone.
Yeah.
It's apparently like this insanely hard puzzle. It's a literary puzzle where you like rip the pages out and try to figure out the mystery by rearranging the entire book. And like a handful of people in the world have done it. And this book was written in like the 20s or something ridiculous like that. And he's reading that. So I was like, oh, look at that. It's me. That's the best.
So speaking of that scene, two things. Number one, you forgot to mention he's also sitting there playing Among Us, right? Which is
my gosh, I can't believe I didn't mention it. That's like that is so funny. And please say who he's playing it with, because that's the best part.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Okay,
that's the best part.
It's Stephen Sondheim, Angela Lansbury,
which they both passed this year, right?
Did they?
Both of them. Angela Lansbury and Stephen Sondheim both died this year.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
I think this must be their last roles.
Yeah, it would have to be. I have to. I didn't realize that. And then Natasha Lyonne and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar are his Zoom pals.
So fucking funny. Playing Among Us. And he's like, I don't get it.
I don't get it.
It was so good.
And also, I mean, that was the thing too. Is and one of my other favorites, who also, I don't know, maybe this movie's cursed because you're mentioning 2 out of the 4 people on his Zoom have now passed. Do you remember who who's hot sauce?
Jeremy Renner. Poor guy got run over.
Yeah.
By his own snowplow.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise, this is not. Oh my God, being in this movie is the kiss of death. Goodness.
Someone has to call Benoit Blanc and see if there's
we gotta get him on it.
Yeah. Everyone who's in this movie somehow.
So did you know that? Speaking of, you talked about Jordan. Oh my God, Jordan.
Wait, who'd I talk about?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yes.
I'm not even drinking. This is just the after effects of being in a house with a sick person for a week and a half. Also is the character of Daryl, which is apparently just like this dude that just walks in and out of scenes drinking beer and super high the whole time. So he styled that character. That's actually his childhood friend. Like that's his buddy. That's
really?
Ryan Johnson's like friend. But that is styled after Kato Kaelin, who was the witness in the OJ trial, who was staying in the house during the murder. So Ryan Johnson had the notion. The notion of having a Kato Kaelin type guy who's just hanging out on the island, and to get Noah out there hanging out with us in Greece, I'll never pass up that opportunity. But yeah, so Kato Kaelin, if you don't know, he was a witness in the murders. He was in the guest house the night that the murders happened. So he was just like, oh yeah. And the character Daryl is hilarious. Like he's just like literally walking in and out of scenes like, I'm not here. Pretend I'm not here. Just smoking a bong or drinking a beer.
Well, and that was the thing too, is like the whole time you're like, is he going to have some like relevance to the plot? Like, is something going to happen where it's going to like, he's going to have to do something or someone's going to rely on him or something? No, he's just there the whole time. So
it's so funny.
Which I looked it up too. Noah Sagan is the actor who also played Trooper Wagner in the first Knives Out. So
he's in both, and that's his friend, I guess.
Well, what's funny too is that the only person who's appeared in both movies who's a different character? He's just like a background guy, like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, just sort of shoehorned in from Ryan Johnson. Yeah,
I'm guessing, but in the movie there's a big Rothko painting, which is like a very famous painting. It's upside down because that's how stupid Miles is. Like they did it on purpose.
He doesn't
So
know.
when Rian Johnson got the painting, he was like, just hang it upside down intentionally because he's so stupid. Like he won't know how the
Yeah.
painting's supposed to go. And I mean, I think that's hilarious. Again, these are the little Easter eggs, like in Knives Out, the very end of Knives Out,
Yeah.
she's not really a nurse, but kind of is nurse.
Oh yeah.
She gets the house and
Yeah.
like she's up on a balcony sipping tea, and the coffee mug that she's holding says "My house, my rules, my coffee," like as a fuck you to the family.
Yeah.
But there's so many little Easter eggs in the movies. I didn't notice them until we were looking this up for this character that I missed in both. Oh, and it's named after a Beatles song. Did you know that?
I did. I sort of. All right. Maybe that can help
And
me start
Knives
my
Out?
tirade.
Knives Out is a Radiohead song.
It is a
Okay.
Radiohead song, right? So I was gonna say, I like, and because also the movie ends and it punches and plays Glass Onion. It plays the
Yes.
song, right? Did the first movie do the same thing? Did the first movie play Knives Out at the end of? I think it did.
It does. Yeah, I
During the
believe so.
Yeah. At that point, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why I'm averse to this, but I'll use this as a starting point into my issues with Rian Johnson. You see, I just realized too, you still haven't seen any of the Star Wars movies.
Yeah, we know.
I know. We'll
Start.
We will
We're
fix
working
that.
on it, guys.
We'll fix
Holding
that.
out. It's going to be a family experience.
But I can't talk about Rian Johnson without at least mentioning that he was part of the problem of
Uh-oh.
he directed and wrote The Last Jedi, which was the second movie in the latest trilogy for Star Wars, right? And there was like a lot of stuff that he just like the first movie set up. He was in charge of the second movie of 3. And he just, now devil's advocate, right? I think Disney, Star Wars, Lucasfilm should have maybe like set up a concept for what the trilogy was going to be before just like throwing 3 different directors at, or technically 2 different directors. But he just like, he changed up the universe a little bit too much, injected a lot of comedy into places where it wasn't before and different things. And also just like the entire plot in the movie, there's a lot of issues I have with that movie.
So that's where your disdain for Rian Johnson stems from?
I don't want to call it disdain. A couple of years ago, and I'm far from a Star Wars fanboy, I had issue with, as a filmmaker, Star Wars means a lot to a lot of people, right? I won't put myself into that universe, right? It's a movie to me. It's not some kind of, world changing thing. I think it's a great movie. I think they're great movies.
I understand it because I'm a fangirl of Harry Potter. I understand.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I completely get it.
And maybe that's a good example, right? Like Chris Columbus came in, he did a few of the movies, and then there were other directors who came in who did other movies, right? If someone came in to one of the other sequels after Chris Columbus left and went to go do something else, and someone came in and said, "Oh, Harry can fly on his own now without a broom, right? He could just use his magic wand," or just
you would riot in the streets. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. Breaking the rules of the universe or undoing things. Right. So without getting too ahead of myself, there's a scene at the end of the Star Wars movie that right before The Last Jedi, which is the one Rian Johnson did, where I don't want to ruin it for you, so I'm going to be very vague. The audience might know what I'm talking about. Where the character in the new movies finds a character from the old movies who's been like lost and has like, hiding on another planet for years. And she finds this person and presents him his lightsaber, right? And then the movie just cuts, right? That's the end of the movie.
Oh.
And that's where it sets up. It's like, whoa, what's going to happen, right? What's going to happen? Like, is this character going to come back and take their, and then Rian Johnson's movie picks up from that and he just takes it and throws it over his shoulders. Says, I don't care.
No.
Right? Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, that's how it's like, all right, he was set up for this thing. Like, it's an amazing moment. Like, what's going to happen now and what's going to help build the universe to get us to the final movie of the trilogy. He threw a lot of stuff in the garbage, retconned a lot of things, changed a lot of things. The entire plot of the movie, right? For the movie, for a set of movies where people are literally running around the universe, flying and, going light speed, all that stuff. it's literally two slow moving spaceships. A spaceship slowly moving because it ran out of gas, which is apparently a new thing that he created, and the ship that's chasing him. They can't jump to light speed because light speed goes too fast, but they can only go as fast as they can go. It doesn't make any sense. Like none of it, it's not logical in the universe that was created for all the movies before. At that point, 7 movies before it. Anyway, my whole point there is he undid a lot of what made that franchise up until that point. And instead of like injecting, helping build the story out of a universe that already exists, he just decided to like, what's this thing? I don't need this.
Yeah.
Just pull stuff out, puts new stuff in.
That's a problem.
Right. And so even to that, right, even to his own trilogy now, which is the Knives Out trilogy, right? You go to the first one, to what we've been talking about. And then first one is like a neo-noir thriller, mystery, detective, and then the second one is like a parody of mysteries, and it turns into sort of, revenge porn by the end of it, right? Like by the last 10, 15 minutes is like literally revenge porn. Like just Rian Johnson lacks a little bit of the storytelling aspects, but when he's good at it, he's great at it. When he's not good at it, he's really bad at it.
I mean, I agree with you 100%. And like I said, the first one felt really dark. It felt really like I didn't know it was going to happen the whole goddamn movie. And when I thought I had figured it out in Knives Out, I was wrong.
Yeah.
And then with this one, it was kind of like I didn't really even care to find out.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I was committed. I was like, oh, this is, like you said, it's just like a fun little ride. We're going to go along for the ride. It was a little bit more fantastical. It was a little bit more, like you said, a little bit more satirical, but it was well done. It just didn't have that depth that the first movie did.
Oh, no.
But I did read an article that he wanted it to be completely opposite. He wanted it to be bright and sunny and not dark and macabre like the last one, which I get completely. But it was lacking. It was lacking that.
And that was the thing, too, is, the first movie had Chris Evans and his charisma.
And his cable knit sweater.
Yes, cable knit sweater, right?
Yes, it did.
I think it was really well done there, right? This movie, the moment we meet Edward Norton, the moment we get to the island, I'm like, oh, he's going to fucking kill himself or something. I don't know. Like,
he's an idiot. Like, you just know. Yeah.
Like, you meet this guy and you meet all the characters involved, right? There's some toss away line of like, oh, all the people on the island, the help are all gone, right? So you're immediately presented with it is essentially Clue. And it's here is our audience. Here are the people. That's the detective who's gonna done it, right? And even though he's like, oh, it's a fake murder mystery
inception,
right? You're already. I think the default. I think where you start off, right? Where my brain went is, I'm like, oh, okay, it's supposed to be a fake murder mystery. He's actually gonna get murdered. Right.
That's what I thought immediately. Yeah,
exactly. Right. Okay. And then as soon as it diverges from that, and as soon as the first person dies, I'm like, oh, it was Edward Norton. It was clearly Edward Norton. Right. Like there was no mystery of like, oh, wow, all these people had motives and like it was almost set up in a way where it's like, yeah, they almost all have equal motives, but no one. It's so equal that it doesn't make any sense that it would be any one of them. Right. None of this makes any sense.
Yeah, so essentially they're all in Edward Norton's pocket. He's funding whatever it is that they're doing. He's essentially bought their friendship and also their compliance, and they like shut their mouths and yeah, exactly.
But anyway, I think that's the thing is like you go in. I saw him complaining in some interviews about the fact that it was referred to. It was the title includes a Knives Out mystery. He's like, I want it to be its own thing. It's like, well, okay, you have a character from the prior movie. Like, of course, it's part of a trilogy. Yeah. Netflix spent buttloads of money buying it. Like the fact that they're going to make you like, a Knives Out mystery, like you're going to have an issue with that.
That's the callback. That's what gets people to press play. I mean, the cast is incredible. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But there's so many options out right now.
And that's what I was going to say, right? And I don't know how you feel, but I don't like it. And ironically enough, Ana de Armas, I don't know if I pronounce names terribly. Ana de Armas was in the trailer to a movie, and then people went to go see the movie, and she wasn't even in the movie. She was like killed in the first like 3 minutes of the movie or something like that. Someone sued. People sued because they were like, God. it was false advertising, and they won, right? And so there's actually like legally, there's like, oh, this might set a weird precedent of like, you know, trailers are now commercials for a movie, so it has to set up the expectations properly, or otherwise you could be legally liable to like, you know,
Okay.
you know. Anyway, the whole point there is if you're going into Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery, and expecting a similar mystery to the same thing. I mentioned those other movies, those Alex Cross movies before,
Yeah.
right? You know, you're going into a movie, an Alex Cross, you know, based movie. It's going to be a neo-noir detective thriller, going to figure out the mystery together. It's going to be that. You go into a Knives Out mystery based on the first one, you're expecting it to be the same. For him to unravel it for the sake of like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Like it's like, dude, why are you here? Why are you selling this movie?
Yeah, I don't know. Like like I said, I was very excited to watch this because I love the whole Easter egg mystery thing.
Yeah.
Didn't get that as much. Got it a little bit. You know, you got it a little bit, and there were some fun things in there. But for me, the Easter eggs were more callbacks to the first movie.
Yeah.
Like that was more of the excitement for me. And I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, we both said it's damn right. You know, it's fucking enjoyable. It was fun. It was. I don't regret watching it. It's only one movie in my life that I've ever hated watching, and we will not talk about it. But this was like one of those movies where I was like, okay, that was a lot of fun. It was good.
Yeah.
It was good. I didn't be like, oh, that was a real disappointment.
Yeah,
it wasn't
exactly.
the same. I was disappointed that it wasn't the same. But also, I mean, if we're going to talk about the trailer did hint at a very bright lit, summery Grecian island vibe. So, I'm be honest with you, plain and simple. I'm just happy to see Edward Norton again. I mean, like, that's really what it comes down to for me. Like, finally, Edward Norton.
Yeah. And just to be clear, I had to go on a small tirade about Rian Johnson.
I mean, it's completely fair and justified. I would, if he did that to the Harry Potter universe, you know me, I would.
Yeah. But
blood would be shed.
But I was going to say, just to be abundantly clear, right? It is a good movie. Where I'm going to say, though, is Knives Out, I feel like you can go back and to your point, there are so many Easter eggs and so many like little, you know, smartly done filmmaking things. You can go back and watch that movie again, and you're watching it from a different perspective, and it's a different experience.
100%. I agree 100%.
This movie, no.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, would I watch it again? Maybe. Yeah. I'm not dying to. Where after Knives Out was done, and I kind of went into like a little bit of a hole with it. Yeah. I went down my rabbit hole and found all these little things that I'd missed. Immediately, I wanted to watch it again. Like immediately, I was like, "Oh, I gotta watch this again." I didn't even pick up on that. I've got to watch this again.
Yeah.
And now with this, I mean, don't get me wrong. It did exactly what it needed to do. All the characters are awesome. The cast does great in all the roles that they play.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, it was fun. Where the other one was like, "Wow, that was a killer fucking movie. Like that was a great movie." This one was like, "That was fun." Yeah. I'm glad I watched it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Da, da, da. Do we know what the next one's going to be?
Do we know? I don't know if, I mean, there hasn't been an announcement. I mean, we know there's going to be one.
Yes.
As far as what it's going to be, any details on it, when it's coming, any of that stuff. No, we don't know anything.
Now, wasn't the number, I mean, you probably know this better than I do. What was the number for when it came out on how many people viewed it? I know it was freaking insane when it dropped on Netflix. Like its viewing numbers were nuts.
Well, you know what's funny is I think it was a year ago. I think it was the prior holiday that we had 1984 Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah.
Which came out, was supposed to go to theaters, and they're like, actually, you know what? HBO Max released it right over Christmas, which was perfect because everyone's home, right? People aren't going out to the theater during Christmas. Now they all want to huddle in the house. Everyone's visiting, right? Your mom and dad's house or grandma or home alone, wherever you are. Go watch the new movie that just came out. That's like essentially a theater-worthy movie playing on your local streaming service. I think it was super smart of Netflix to release this.
Agreed.
When they did, right? Over Christmas break. And like, I think it was on Christmas Day. I want to say it actually was released. Is that, am I right or wrong? On the platform.
I don't remember because I remember on Christmas I was like, oh, we should watch this, and they were like,
Yeah.
it's already out.
December 23rd it came out.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I want to say, just based off of that,
Sandra Bullock beat it out last year with Unforgivable. That was 85.9 million who watched Unforgivable last year in its first weekend. That was Sandra Bullock and Viola Davis. And then Glass Onion was 82.1 million views its opening weekend, which is still nutso. But I mean,
yeah.
I don't
No
want to hate
clue.
on you there, Ryan Johnson, but guess what? It's because it said Knives Out Mystery at the title.
Yeah, but this was fun. I'm glad we got to. I'm glad we got to cover a movie like right after it came out.
Yeah. But that's all right. It's all right. Happy New Year, everyone, by the way. This is our first episode recorded in 2023.
Absolutely, Happy New Year. We have so much stuff planned for the rest of the year. And by the way, to say it here, our merch has started shipping. So if you haven't yet done
Hooray!
so, follow us on the social
Yes.
medias. Can We Talk About Podcast on TikTok and Instagram and all those places. Facebook, if it's, for all the moms out there listening.
The book of
Facebook
faces.
is just
Yeah,
for
that
moms.
would be mine.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to go on there and see what people are giving away for free. That's it.
I have to go on there just to say happy birthday to mom. So I don't say happy birthday on Facebook.
It's not real. Yeah, I get that. You're,
Not real.
It's absolutely. You're not even her son until you accept that in your bio. It's a son of. Well,
That's
thanks, everybody.
See you next time. Bye.
See you next time. Bye.